Kelly, and we begin today with the latest in the legal drama between Stormy Daniels and President Trump. There is the alleged affair between the adult film star and the president, the non-disclosure agreement that Ms. Daniels says is not valid, the payoff that may have violated the election laws, and the threat she says happened to her in a parking lot years ago. The president's attorneys are asking for a judge to hear this case behind closed doors, out of the public eye, while the lawyer representing Ms. Daniels says this case ought to receive a public hearing. Ms. Daniels' attorney, Michael Avenatti, is with us now. Michael, thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
Okay, so you represent her, claiming that this agreement is invalid. You say it's not valid, but she abided by it for 16 months without objection and cashed the $130,000 check that the president's lawyer gave to her. He wasn't president at the time. So when did it suddenly become invalid?
Well, she understood, Megyn, during that 16-month time period that he had actually signed it. She understood that he had signed the agreement.
Donald Trump.
Correct. She was not provided with a copy of the agreement, but it was her understanding that the president had signed the agreement and that he was upholding his obligations under the agreement.
His obligation principle was to pay her $130,000, which happened.
Well, not exactly. I mean, the $130,000 was part of it, but there was a whole host of other, what's called, and you know this, legal consideration that the president and only the president could provide to my client. And that included a release of any claims, an agreement to stay away from her and her family, an agreement not to comment about her, not to have his agents comment about her. And of course, Mr. Cohen broke that in January or February of this year when he responded to this report in the Wall Street Journal.
But the problem for you is that the agreement is between Stormy Daniels, Stephanie Clifford is her real name, on the one hand, and either Donald Trump or Michael Cohen's group, Essential Services, on the other. And Essential Services did sign it. Michael Cohen did sign it. So there's a valid agreement between Stormy and Michael, no?
Well, actually, I disagree, because Mr. Cohen or Essential Consultants could not bind Mr. Trump to his obligations.
But he could bind himself. He could bind himself to that $130,000, and she signed it and cashed the check.
But if you look at Section 8.6 of the agreement, and I don't want to get too down in the weeds, but it's important, 8.6 of the agreement obligates all of the parties to sign the agreement, all of the parties, including the president.
But the contract didn't have to be in writing in the first place. If you and I agree, you're going to give me $130,000, and I'm never going to say a bad word about Michael Avenatti, we don't have to put it in writing. You can enforce that against me even if I don't sign or you don't sign. We have an oral agreement. And Michael Cohen is saying we had an agreement, whether the contract's perfect or not. She cashed the check, and she refuses to live up to her obligations under it.
But it wasn't just about the money. There was consideration on both sides. And part of it was, I mean, I'll give you this analogy. This is like purchasing a house, and you show up to take possession of the house, and the other party says, well, we know it was 4 bedrooms, but we're only going to give you one of the 4 bedrooms. We're going to keep the other 3. That's basically what happened here. My client entered into this agreement and had a bargain, and she was to receive $130,000 plus a host of other things that she never got, because evidently the president did not sign the agreement because he wanted to be in a position where he would have deniability, which is where they are today.
So Michael Cohen says, through his lawyer, she had the obligation to turn over any and all electronic evidence of this alleged affair as well. Did she do that? Because you sent out a tweet showing a suggestion that she still has electronic evidence, which she would have been required to fork over under that deal.
I'm not going to answer what she turned over or didn't turn over.
Well, so you're saying they didn't live up to all their obligations, and now there's a question about whether she did.
Our position is that the agreement is null and void. She's free to speak. She's free to tell her story, and the American people should get to the bottom of what happened with this $130,000 payment.
So why hasn't she returned the money?
We offered to return the money 2 weeks ago.
I know, but she didn't.
No, but we offered to return the money.
So just do it.
Well, we may do that.
Why wouldn't she? It's not fair for her to keep the $130,000 while she's already been on 60 Minutes telling about the whole affair, right?
Well, I think what's not fair is for her to be constantly called a liar, basically, by Mr. Cohen and others, put under their thumb, intimidated, and not being able to provide an opportunity to tell her story. And I also don't...
Not have an opportunity to tell her story. 22 million people watched the 60 Minutes interview with Anderson.
But let me tell you what's really not fair. What's really not fair to the American people is that they don't have an explanation for this $130,000, and they can't get a straight answer. And I enjoyed your interview last Friday It was a train wreck. It was a disaster.
With Michael Cohen's lawyer, David Schwartz.
Yes, it was an absolute disaster for the president. It was a disaster for Michael Cohen. The web of lies continues. I don't understand what's so complicated. What happened with this $130,000? It's obvious the president knew about the agreement. It's obvious that he had something to do with the payment. It's clear as day. The explanations, the lies continue.
That is all relevant because even if you don't care whether Donald Trump had an affair with Stormy Daniels, if Michael Cohen, the president's lawyer, paid $130,000 11 days before an election to shut her up so that he could have a better chance of winning, that's potentially illegal. So that piece of the case is the most relevant piece for public consumption. But let me ask you whether that's politics for you. Because what does Stormy Daniels care whether that payment violated the election law? She took it, she cashed it, she enjoyed it.
Well, let me say this. There's two parts of this story. There's the affair part and there's the cover-up part. We've spent a lot of time talking about the affair part.
I mean, it's like, non-disclosures happen all the time, as you know. Well, cover-up makes it sound very nefarious.
Well, we believe it is nefarious. We're not talking about the cover-up relating to non-disclosure. We're talking about the cover-up relating to this $130,000 payment and the fact that no one can seem to get a straight answer as to what happened to it. And it's a very serious matter.
What do you mean what happened to it? It was cut by Cohen's bank. It was cut by him through his bank, and she cashed it.
Well, Mr. Cohen wants the American people to believe that he operated on his own. He negotiated this agreement without any knowledge, and I know you don't believe it because I saw the interview on Friday, that he negotiated this agreement
without ever telling Trump, without ever asking for reimbursement from Trump for his $130 grand. Right. He claimed to me he did it out of love.
That's right.
For Donald Trump.
And it actually gets better because, according to Mr. Cohen, he had to take out a home equity loan in order to make this $130,000 payment on behalf of a billionaire who's running for the U.S. presidency. This is the nonsense that they expect the American people to believe.
But that doesn't answer why does Stormy, why do you care? That's a political matter for these people to care about.
Well,
why would Stormy Daniels be leading the charge on whether that payment violated the election law?
Because, I mean, this is the honest to God truth. This is a principled woman at this point. She wants the truth. She wants the truth.
Now they're laughing at you.
No, but you know what? They may
come on. They're saying, come on. She's so principled that 11 days before the election, she had information about the possible next president having an extramarital affair with an adult film actress, and she shut up about it in exchange for just over $100 grand.
Yeah, and I think she's providing an explanation as to why that is.
Because she wanted the money.
She wants the truth to be known to the American people now.
Then why did she take the money? Why didn't she just talk 11 days before the election?
You'd have to ask her that. I don't have an explanation.
Come on. She wanted the dough, and now she wants to keep the dough while violating the agreement,
she doesn't want
which, whether you like Michael Cohen or Donald Trump or not, doesn't seem fair to them.
Megyn, she doesn't want to keep the dough. We've offered to return the dough.
What's stopping you?
It was 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago.
It's very simple. You take out the piece of paper and you write $130,000 and then you mail it.
I'll tell you what. Well, I'll make the offer right now. I'll make the offer right now. If the president and Mr. Cohen agree that the agreement's null and void, we're done. We'll send the money. We'll deliver the money today.
Why do they have to sit and be out $130,000 when we've already seen her on 60 Minutes telling the whole thing? That's what the money was meant to stop.
No, well, and she hasn't told her complete story yet.
Oh, there's more.
There's more.
What is it? Can you give us a hint?
There's a lot more. When she sat down for the interview...
Wait, hold on. We have to take a quick break.
All right.
And that's what you call a tease. We'll pick it up there after the break. We're back now with Stormy Daniels' attorney, Michael Avenatti. So you say there's more to her story than what we've already heard. Like what?
Well, when she sat for that interview, it actually lasted over 2 hours in length, the actual interview. And then the portion that the American public saw was only about 14 or 16 minutes of actual interview time.
But had it been newsworthy, 60 Minutes would have put it on the air.
Well, I mean, 60 Minutes and CBS is, they're a conservative network. I mean, there's a lot of information that was said during that interview that did not make it into the final 60 Minutes.
Conservative like highbrow, you mean? You don't mean politically conservative.
No, I mean that they play it very close to the vest. I mean, for instance, she can describe the president's genitalia in great detail. That did not make it...
We don't need to hear that.
No, but
we don't need to. My eyes.
But look, that.
We don't need to hear that. Listen, in fairness to your client, I don't think
that did not make it in.
And good for them.
Right.
But in fairness to your client, and you tell me, I don't think most people doubt that Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump had an interlude.
I don't think so either.
I don't think they doubt her. It's the question about the money and where and how that plays in. I have to ask you about your defamation case against Michael Cohen. It's based on him suggesting that she's lying about this affair. But on January 30th of this year, of 2018, she issued a paper statement that reads in part, I am not denying this affair because I've been paid hush money. I'm denying this affair because it never happened. So how can she say it never happened, and he says it never happened, and he's guilty of defamation?
Well,
for the very thing she said about herself.
She explained why she issued that statement. She issued it under threats and intimidation from the president's fixer. And that's why she issued the statement. I think she provided that explanation.
But you understand, like, you have two people saying the same thing, and then 2 weeks later, she changes her story, and he's still saying the same thing, and now suddenly he's a defamer because he's saying the same thing she was saying 2 weeks earlier?
Well, he's still a defamer because they have not changed their position. They continue to call my client a liar, and I agree with your point. I think the majority of the American people believe it actually happened. I believe that the American people have concluded that it happened, and the only people that are in denial at this point are Mr. Cohen and the administration.
Well, the question is the $130,000. If that violated election law, it's a different ballgame.
No, it's a very serious matter.
John Edwards criminally prosecuted for a similar allegation that Bunny Mellon paid a bunch of money to his affair partner to shut her up prior to the election. He was found not guilty, though, because they thought that actually wasn't meant to preserve his presidential prospects, but to protect Elizabeth Edwards, which is clearly where Michael Cohen's going with this. Out of love, I didn't want to upset Melania, I love my client, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I have to ask you two quick things. You said that you had others. You'd said publicly you had at least 6 other women contact you. 8? Okay, so it's up to 8 now. 8 other women have contacted you about what? About
similar allegations and similar circumstances relating to the president.
That they had affairs with him?
That they had relationships with the president, but I want to caution, and I've been very consistent in this. Anytime you have a story like this, people come out of the woodwork. You don't know if they're telling the truth.
So you're vetting it.
We're vetting it. So I'm not staking my reputation behind any of these people at this point because we haven't run it to ground. I have 100% confidence in Stormy Daniels' story and her credibility. I don't have that confidence level as it relates to these other 8 women.
Now I have to ask you about this SAR report, S-A-R, which you've written a letter to the Treasury asking them to release information on this $130,000 payment, which they investigated, right? We believe they investigated because what? Because Michael Cohen's bank that cut the check contacted Treasury to say this seems suspicious, which happens. It happens when you have a weird payment that they suspect may be money laundering, may be illegal in some way. It actually happens fairly often. And you want the Treasury to do what now?
First Republic Bank, Michael Cohen's bank, did an internal investigation, not prompted by us, but prompted on their own, about this $130,000 payment. There was something that raised suspicions with them. They did an investigation. They determined that there was likely something illegal with this, something highly suspicious. So they filed what's called a suspicious activity report, or SAR, with the Department of Treasury, alerting them to this payment. This was long before we filed our case. This was independent of us. We've now asked the Treasury Department to release to the American public publicly the SAR so that the American people can see exactly what's contained in it and what is suspicious about this payment.
What was fishy about the report.
Correct.
Are we to draw any conclusions from the fact that no prosecution was brought?
No, because it would have only been filed within the last year or so, and sometimes these things take quite a long time to
What are the odds of Mnuchin releasing to you anything the Treasury concluded about that payment?
Well, I mean, I hope that he would come clean about it. There's no reason to keep it confidential at this point. I mean, it's well known. It was reported by the Wall Street Journal. We just want the contents released.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Listen, I appreciate you being here. All the best to you. And your client as well.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.